Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I am so excited to have this man, the king of barbecue here in Northern California, Mr. Justin Kinder, on the show.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
I'm good.
Justin, this establishment is huge.
Yeah.
I found my love for Kinder's when I moved to California, in Hercules, California, and became a regular.
Yep.
Then I realized how big this business was. Started looking into the family history, and it's like you're such a staple of this area of California as a whole. I mean, how crazy is it for you to see how much you've expanded this thing?
It's very crazy. Yeah, it's very crazy, especially when you take into consideration that we were just at one point just a small meat market in Richmond, California, and then fast forward to now, and there's several stores, and we have product across the country and even international. Yeah, it's very wild.
So the first one was the Richmond location?
That's correct. Yep.
Wow. And so Grandpa John Kinder opens that one.
Yep, opened that in 1946. Yeah. Yeah, he trained under a butcher after he got back from the war, and
World War II?
He worked for free, and just worked for free for a year. He told him that he'd work for free for a year if he showed him the trade, and then he did it for a year, and then went and started his own thing. He had a little kiosk like meat market inside of a grocery store. That was his first little endeavor. And then
is that picture we're seeing there?
That one, that's it. Yep. Wow. That's it. And so then he went on to that was in San Pablo, and then he went to Richmond and opened the first Kinder's.
So then you were born. How many establishments were there when you were born, and then at what age did you get into the business?
I was born in 78. There was only one. Yeah, there was one. We were in Richmond when I was born, and then we moved out here when I was 7 or 8 here into Concord. And then, goodness, we didn't open the second store till I was about 20 years old. And I had a opportunity to go play football at a smaller school up in Washington. And I remember my dad said, you got two choices. You can hang up the cleats or you can go to work. And it was a tough decision. But I also knew that, I had big dreams. So and they didn't necessarily include football. So I opted to open up our Pleasant Hill store when I was 20 years old. And
wow.
Managed and operated that store, and it was ugly. It didn't do well for a long time.
What was the toughest spot? 20-year-old kid running the shop.
Yeah, that was the problem. I was just immature and hiring all my friends, and we were all just messing around and doing things that we shouldn't have been doing. And you learn the hard way. So,
right.
But as time went on, and I began to understand business as a whole, and I read every business and management and leadership book that I could get my hands on, and I started kind of understanding how it worked and how to grow it organically, and we did. And so then Pleasant Hill became kind of like a cult-like following in that area, as well as Concord here. And then my brother and I kind of put our heads together and decided we need to do more. And he wanted to do Brentwood. I wanted to do Hercules, and so we did. We did them back-to-back years. And,
wow.
And now both of them standing on their own.
What was the age difference between you and Jacob, his brother Jacob?
He was 3 years. Yeah,
3 years older or 3 years younger? Okay.
Yeah, 3 years younger.
So he's 17 years old. You're 20. Yep. Guys, any of my folks in Jersey watching this, you remember the Cafe Capri. So we had a lounge when I was 17. I could convince the owners, hey, let me in on this lounge. I'm going to get this thing going.
Okay.
Holy smokes, you want to talk doing things wrong. Did everything wrong.
Yeah.
17-year-old promoting a bar, this and that. So a lot of young, high school, college people watch the show. What's a piece of advice you give to younger people, early 20s, getting into business?
Yeah, that's a tough. It depends on the level that you're entering at or what business you're entering into, but the bottom line is just continuous grind. Like you have to live and sleep it. You can't just expect to punch in 9 to 5 and expect your business to grow and prosper. It's just, some people do get lucky, but we lived it. Like we literally, it was all we thought about. It's all, any situation we applied it to what can we do? How can we make things better? It was just one of those things where we were tenacious and eventually it paid off. And when you start seeing momentum, then that's kind of that shot in the arm that you need in order to keep going.
And it's kind of crazy. If you look behind us, you see the Wall of Fame. Every celebrity you could name that's come through the Bay Area or come out of the Bay Area has a love for Kinders.
Yeah.
It's literally a part of everybody in the bag. So at what age did you start saying, damn, like this is a cultural thing too?
We started getting a couple celebrities here and there, and we'd take a picture, and we didn't hang them up. We were just taking, it was just kind of cool to see people.
Right.
And then we started catering for the Raiders. We started catering for the Niners. And then, it became a little more known. So then anytime somebody would come down this Highway 4 corridor, celebrity-wise or athlete-wise, they'd maybe stop by one of the locations. And so then one of the managers would call me and say, like, oh, so-and-so's here. And then I would, drive out there real quick, get a picture, and then hang it up. And then we created the Wall of Fame. And now it's, somewhat of a rite of passage in
That's
the
awesome.
area. Yeah.
And so, like, when you talk about you got to live it, you got to grind it, is it now that you've expanded, what are you at, 6 or 7 locations now?
We're at 7 family-owned locations, and then we have 2 franchise locations.
Oh, you do have 2 franchises?
Yes. 2
okay.
Still floating around out there.
So let's say, 9 total, 7 family. But, like, you've expanded the sauces. Like, I go into the grocery stores all over the place. I see the sauces. How is it like, how do you challenge yourself to stay grinding and to stay doing new things and to keep innovating?
Now it's big. It's bigger than just me. And so we have a team. We have an innovation team. We have a distribution team. We have people who do this, and we are a part of that entity. But that's what they do, and they have minds that just are thinking of flavors and stuff that you and I probably would never in a million years would think of. But then when you try it, you're like, okay,
I'll take it.
And so half the time it's not about coming up with flavors; it's coming up with the name for the flavors.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very, because the name has to do with what people are selecting off of the shelves.
Right.
So some stuff you'll try and it'll be spectacular. It's going to run, but you can't think of a name that's going to get it into people's grocery carts.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just the branding of the actual flavor is the real challenge.
Yeah. So it's gotten to a point where we have an incredible team on that side, and I mean professionals.
Yeah.
So it's taken its own life, so to speak.
And then how do you keep, because like the cuts, like sometimes I'll come over, I don't know if you guys could see the butcher area behind us, but like sometimes I'll just go and buy the meat, and then you have some of the meat seasoning in the bags, and then you just have the bacon. So sometimes I come in and buy the food, sometimes I come in and just buy the meats to grill at home.
Yep.
How do you guys ensure the quality as you grow more? How does that all work?
It's actually, there's certain things that are really tough. Like, for instance, the ball tip is very challenging because there's only 2 per animal. And so kind of morbid, but that's the reality.
There's only
of the
2
situation.
ball tips.
Yep, 1 on each side.
Interesting.
Yeah, so and we go through more ball tip than anyone in the entire country.
That's the famous thing at Kinders.
Yeah, that's
First time
our
I came, they said you got to try the ball tip.
So typically, prior to us, they would just grind that product and it would be hamburger. It was kind of or stew meat, or it was kind of I don't want to say a waste product, but it wasn't an ideal product. Well, we kind of changed the meat culture with the ball tip, and so tri-tip was always kind of the thing, down in Santa Maria, but we definitely put our foot in the ball tip and grew it, and it is challenging to get at times. Certain times a year, we're scrapping and scraping to get enough ball tip to fulfill all of our stores.
Damn. And then there's the thing now, is that's not the ball tip where it's the hollowed out bread and it's filled with the meat.
That's called the barbecue beef, but it is made
barbecue
with
beef
ball tip. So
that sandwich is crazy. I'll tell you what, a lot of NFL friends, all the linemen, that's all they want to eat. They take that thing in like oxygen.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely a hearty one.
Yeah. Oh man. It gets me excited just thinking, even like the chili lime, like the chicken that's over there, the mac and cheese, the bacon mac and cheese. Oh, my God.
We had a full-on fight in here because somebody ordered all the mac and cheese. 2 guys got into a fight. Cops had to come the whole 9.
That'll start a beef.
Up in, Clay Cord wrote an article about it because they literally started fighting over the mac and cheese. Yeah.
That's big-time beef. And if you think you're going to get beef at a barbecue joint, you're assuming it's going to be the ribeye. You're assuming it's going to be the ball tip. But the mac and cheese brought the beef to the party.
That's what brought it.
So how crazy is it for you? Like, what's a week look like? You got all the locations. How often are you hitting them? How often are you in communication with the managers? How do you keep all that running?
We have we have myself and a district manager that essentially manage managers. Mm-hmm. And so we have 2 managers that manage multiple locations. So there's a lot of direct and, very intense communication between myself, the district manager, and then the manager. So that's kind of, how we keep a thumb on it. I try to hit a couple stores a day, 2 to 3 stores a day, and just kind of observe and check out. But our managers are solid, so they kind of know the drill, and that gives us the ability to work more on the business and how do we fine tune things and essentially be able to do this from a 50,000 foot level as opposed to down in the trenches because of their how well they do their jobs.
50,000 feet is a good place to have a good co-pilot.
Yes, it is.
And it sounds like these district managers are essentially good co-pilots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Folks, I got a story for you. Justin, I got a story for you. Okay, this happened today at SFO. 2 planes, a United and an Alaskan airline plane, okay, land side by side. I don't know if the scheduling guy needs to get fired. I don't know who needs to get fired. But they wound up landing, that's the actual video of it, landing side by side on the runway. It happened safely. Nobody got hurt. Holy schmucks. What are you thinking if you're on one of those planes?
I'm saying my prayers. That is brutal. I don't love flying anyway, so that would do it. That'd be enough. That'd be it. That'd be my last flight.
It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, and that would cause major beef, hopefully, between United and Alaska Airlines.
I would assume so. That's blood and Crip level.
Yeah. Absolutely. But, folks, you know what? Even the Bloods and Crips can agree. The best barbecue in California.
Yeah, let's hope.
Right here at Kinder's. Another one we have, this is a cool one I had. Do you know what years the first barbecue was ever barbecued?
No clue, in fact.
Really?
No.
7,000 years before the birth of Jesus was the first. They said the first ones, they give it to the ancient Egyptians and Sumerians. Unlike our foods, they didn't use animal fat or lipids as fat. They used thin rice bran oil, and they smoked the meat. You've been carrying on a tradition from 7,000 years BC.
Fascinating.
And you're doing it the best.
Yeah, we're trying.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is an interesting way to look at it. Never have. That's fascinating.
So we're going to do a Mayan day, maybe?
Ooh.
Costumes?
Okay.
When you look around, the family legacy is strong. The family love is strong. I've seen John Kinder now for half a decade since I've been out here. And it's like, obviously I never met him, I never did, but I feel like you know something about him when you come in here.
Yeah.
How important is the family legacy for you to carry on, and how much did he mean to you?
Tremendous. The one thing I will say is he was relatively quiet. He spoke to customers with grace, but he was very heads down and just worked. But what he taught us, and my father, is you work. And you work, and you can't expect your staff to outwork you. And so that's why, and my dad to this day, he's working 8-10 hour days, and it's part of his bloodline. So I think that it's just one of those things that when you see that growing up, you realize that there is a precedent set, and it's not, there's negatives. And when I was younger, because I've been working since I was 12, and so I would feel jealous of all my friends getting to go do stuff and hang out, and I'd have to get up and go to work in the morning, so I wasn't out getting drunk and doing all the stuff that they did. I mean, I did, but not on the level that they were.
Right.
And so there was a certain level of jealousy that was involved, but the reality of it is, when you fast forward, it becomes worth it. It kind of teaches you how to be an adult and how to strive and how to goal set. And it's not that instant gratification. It's something that actually takes some time to develop. And if you can have that patience, you'll persevere.
It's like slow cooking, guys. All good things are going to come from slow cooking. All good barbecue is going to come from slow cooking. And we're in this age of instant gratification.
That's fact.
And when people see something like this built, it's like, oh man, look, he just got put the sauces, slapped the label. It's like, it's a big grind.
Well, it's funny how many people do think that they don't see that the long haul, and nor do I expect them to, or even care if they do or they don't. What I care about is that I understand the roadmap and the blueprint, and that I can carry it on and bring the work ethic that was shown to me and bring it forward and hopefully on to my children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, guys, all our friends over the pond in the UK, King Charles is getting his coronation It's going on this weekend, okay? So they're getting the yard set up, everything laid out. And this morning, when they went out, scoped the land, see how everything's looking, look what greeted them there on the...
Oh.
About a 70-foot penis was mowed into the lawn.
Okay. Somebody's an artist.
Somebody's an artist.
Yeah, somebody's an artist. I respect the move.
It could be a ball tip fan.
It could be. It could perhaps. Perhaps.
So that's what they're dealing with in the UK.
Huh.
So let me ask you this. You're at your coronation.
Mm-hmm.
King of barbecue.
Okay.
What's being served? What's on the menu?
Well, I'll tell you, I've gone in a different direction more recently. The last couple of years, I've been grilling more, and I feel like barbecue is great, and I love the brisket and the ribs and that stuff, and that's kind of the competition stuff. So I've grown up in that world, but lately I've been grilling, and ribeyes and New York's are my favorite.
The ribeye sandwich here has got to be. That's in my top 3.
It's definitely my top
That might
3
be my top 1.
Yeah, it's solid.
That is an incredible sandwich. We just got back from Vegas, right? So if you watched the show, you saw Fred Bolitnikov's golf tournament just happened. Fred's been stressing he can't get olive loaf out of his local deli. So we're talking delis, we're talking meats, all this stuff, and we start talking Kinders.
Okay.
And he's telling me, he's like, man, that guy's got the life. He's like every day, that's got to be the best lunch to look forward to. But then he started telling me about the impact you've had on his foundation, your history with the Raiders, this and that. How cool is that to know, like, you've left a lasting impact with so many people who have left legendary lasting impacts on others' lives?
Yeah, that's actually a good way to look at it. Yeah, he's a super nice guy, and we're glad to help out at his golf tournament. And they're always doing. I mean, it's been years. Maybe 10 years that we've been doing it. It's been quite some time. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So out of everybody on the wall, I just look back. I see Steph Curry. I see E40, Jose Canseco.
Yep.
A lot of rumors that the Kinders meets were bigger around that time when Canseco was coming in, the Balco era, folks.
Some hormones involved.
Which one blew your mind the most?
Originally, I would say it was E40, and now I went on to get to know E40. I consider him my friend.
How about E40's all his businesses?
Oh, man, he's something else. Yeah, we actually have a business together with Goon with the Spoon sausage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's a super cool guy, and you know, I grew up listening to him in the Bay Area. So it was, you know, when I first met him, it was like, whoa.
Right.
And then as you realize that he's just a nice guy. He's just a guy. You know, he's just like you and I, just talking on sitting at a table. And so I think that's what had me looking at things a little bit differently when it came to him, and then we developed a friendship. So I would say he would be top. Mac Dre was another really big one. And then Charles Woodson was another super nice guy. Yeah, another very down-to-earth guy that would come over. So we cooked at the Raider facility every Friday.
In Alameda?
Games, in Alameda. And, you know, most of the guys were cool, not all. And this was in, like, the Rich Gannon era.
Okay.
And, you know, and Woodson, as he would leave, he would come out and thank our staff one by one. And
that's great.
It's like, man, you know, no one else was doing that. And
the little things.
It's amazing. And so I don't know where it came from, the gratitude, or he was just raised right, but what people don't realize is that matters to the people who are being thanked. And so that story gets told time and time again from staff, you know, that experienced it as well as me.
It's cool to hear the boss man, too, thinking like that. Like, you know what I mean? For your staff that's listening to this, it's cool to know that there's a concern for the little things and for just the human-to-human values at the top level.
Oh, it's tremendous, all of it. And there's something to be said about the subconscious and the you know, neuro association to, you know, a positive feeling, a positive environment, and being happy with going to work and willing to continue going to work, and then they bring that attitude and vibe to the table.
You know what's cool is, like, I think sometimes when I go into Kinder's for lunch, like, you'll go in and lunch, it's freaking mobbed. But you got police over here.
Yeah.
You got your guys who in the sanitation department here. You got teachers here, and then you got kids out of school. Everyone's got the biggest smile on their face when they're at Kinders. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You're like, you know what? For right now, everything's all good over here.
Yeah.
That is a cool thing.
That it's definitely it's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
If there's not everything's perfect, and especially these last few years have been, tough in the restaurant and the food industry as a whole. But yes, when you walk into a store and you see that people are sitting around and they're enjoying their food, and you look at the plates and it looks good and it's presented well and it's cooked well, it's like, okay,
Yeah, this is a real deal.
This is how it works. Yep.
When I put up yesterday, I had put up a post and I said, Justin Kinder's coming on the show. Anybody submit questions? And somebody submitted a question. They said, what does he think of all the sauce haters that say you can't be putting barbecue on sauce on barbecue? This came from someone who is a tremendous fan of Kinder sauces.
Okay. I don't think much of that. Everybody has their own opinion when it comes to barbecue. It's kind of like, you ask somebody for a plumber, everybody's got the best plumber in the world, Right. And so it's similar with barbecue, wherever, if you're from Texas, you are a Texas barbecue fan.
Right.
California barbecue isn't even a thing besides in California. Well, it wasn't. We're trying to change that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so the Texas, the Carolinas, like they all have their own style, and they have an allegiance. It's very tribal.
Yeah, it is very tribal.
It's very tribal. It's very interesting because I've had full-on arguments and debates with people about their style of barbecue and what's right and what's wrong, and you don't do this and you do this and you don't use applesauce, you don't use applewood, and it's fascinating. Like they think that there is one way to do it, and so you have to respect their passion and their opinion because it's very interesting, but it's so
it's very tribal.
It's very tribal. There's so many different ways to do barbecue.
Yeah.
And I would argue that there's multiple ways to make it good.
So what's the key to California barbecue? What's the signature of it?
Well, I think with us, we use more of a sweet flavor and we do long cooking. And so some places use like more of a vinegary flavor. Some just do the rubs. And, it's as far as the, their themes, I think we go with a little bit of sweet, a little bit of heat, a little bit of vinegar, and then we do long cooks.
I think you guys do it right.
We try.
That's why we're here, folks.
We try.
Kinder's does it right. Now, we've heard of things being ditched in the woods of New Jersey, and usually it leads to a Soprano-like conversation, right?
Okay.
But something real shady went down the other day.
Okay, I like this.
Hundreds of pounds of cooked pasta were found in the woods of New Jersey, folks, and it has the state and the country on high alert. Nobody knows what's going on. What do you think?
Aliens.
It could be aliens?
Yeah,
Are they Italian aliens?
It must be. Either that or this is just some weird publicity stunt of some sort.
What Kinder? There's not enough Kinder's leftovers ever to do something like that.
That's a lot of pasta.
You got to almost think it didn't taste that good to just ditch it.
Who just didn't taste the first batch and kept going, though?
Or maybe we've developed now Italian bears or deers that are going in the woods and just trying to put together a feast. And
that's actually likely. These are Italian deer. That's what it is. I think you nailed it.
That's how they found it, guys.
That's how they found it.
So if you're walking around the woods in New Jersey right now, bring a fork, bring some sauce, and you know what? You might walk into a buffet right there. So somebody's strolling in here for their first time, right?
Yep.
What should they order?
The ball tip sandwich.
Ball tip sandwich, gotta have.
That's a go-to, and I think that's usually the hook that grabs people. It has the ideal flavor combinations that make somebody who's not 100% sure what to get. I think it's a crowd favorite.
I think that's the reason that my relationship is so strong, folks, because my girlfriend runs on the ball tip sandwich from Kinder's, and I am sure to keep it steadily flowing into the house.
Yeah.
We got the cards. Kinder's got the reward cards where you get the stamp for each time.
Yep.
I blacked out like 6, 7 of those things.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. You're good.
I feel like it's a big sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now, a little sad news that has come to the Bay Area recently. You guys see the lunch crowd starting to flow in. As the Oakland A's announce, they're headed to Vegas. The Raiders have left. The Warriors went over to San Francisco. How's that feel for you? Bay Area kid, tried and true.
It's rather frustrating for me, being a Raiders fan since I was a young boy, and so it's very interesting that no team has been able to stay in Oakland.
Right.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I won't pretend to understand, but from an outsider's point of view, somebody's doing something wrong.
City of Oakland, we're looking at you.
Yeah, there's something up because unless there's just more benefits to them not being in Oakland, that would be the only logical solution that I could think of. Doesn't make sense, but if that is something that I don't understand in it, I guess, but sure seems like not a great idea.
There's so many markets that we could look at right now and say, you know what, Tampa Bay, you know what, the Miami Marlins, you do better here in Nashville. But they ain't just picking them up and moving them. No. It's weird what's happened here in Oakland. And the other weird thing now, if you guys go on StubHub and you look at Oakland A's tickets, any game this year, it could be a bottom dweller team. Detroit Tigers could be coming to town. And it'll say only 2% of tickets are for sale in the stadium. That's all they're making available. So it's like they're like force drowning the team.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're only allowing X amount of tickets to sell anyway. They want that ballpark empty.
Why, though?
I don't know. I think it was just so much that they wanted to force the hand of either A, we need a new stadium, but not showing fan support's kind of a wild way to do that.
Very.
And then B, we need to get out of this market.
Yeah, I think it could be the latter.
Yeah.
It seems like.
They wanted to get to Vegas.
Yeah, they want to get. But as far as the A's, I mean, it's already hard to see Oakland leave.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, the Raiders leave. But when you think that the A's are leaving too, and then you think the Warriors are already over the bridge, what's Oakland got?
What is there? Now that Coliseum parking lot and the old Rorical.
Yeah.
The Coliseum might become the biggest Kinder's location of all.
Yeah. What else are they gonna do? Disney on Ice? I mean, that's it. We're doing Kinder's.
A Kinder's right at the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
Keep the Coliseum intact as a an operating museum.
Sure.
Come in and get the best
People can
barbecue.
ride bikes and do all kinds of stuff around the stadium. Yeah, we might as well do something with it.
Barbecue sauce moat. Maybe they bring out the bikes, try to jump it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about these? What do they call it? What do they call the car shows? The side shows. The side shows in Oakland.
Side shows. There we go.
I had never heard of something like this.
Oh, yeah?
When I came out here, she's like, "Oh, what, there's a sideshow developing here." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about? A sideshow?"
Yeah.
Then you start to see it going down.
Yeah.
This part of the country, if you guys haven't been to the Bay Area, when you come, you got to try to barbecue at Kinder's. But also, man, the culture of the Bay is something so unique.
Very unique.
Shout out to E40.
Shout out.
You know, it's incredible. To those of you who haven't visited the Bay, when you come, this is the first place you hit.
That's what I'd like to hear.
I'd like to ask you, because I see a lot of times you post about your brother Jacob, who we lost.
Yep.
And I'd like to know what he meant to you and what that was like getting through, because as a young man dealing with that and then going on to, seems to me as an outsider, we just met, but it seems like you've almost bottled that, and you carry that flag for the both of you.
Yeah, that's partly true. I think that what he, I mean, you grow up with somebody, and he knows what both of us went through growing up.
Right.
So it's hard. And when I say we were close, we were the closest. Like, it was more than just being a little brother. It was like my best friend. I was his guardian, so to speak. And it's one of those things where when you lose somebody like that, it just puts a hole inside of you that you may not ever fill. Right. And so due to that hole, there was a tremendous amount of years that I just felt like I could not fill that hole up. And so the only thing that made it better was continuing what we had already started and making me feel like I was making him proud and my grandfather proud and making it more about the family.
Absolutely.
And so that, I think that was a driving force. Yeah.
It's a family business. It's a family business here at Kinder's. And I'd like to wrap on this. What does family mean to you?
Everything. Yeah, everything. It's almost cliche, but cliches are cliche for a reason.
Right.
And I think family is the most important thing, and it drives me crazy, especially experiencing loss within my family, like we just discussed. It always kills me when you hear siblings aren't talking, or they're beefing, or they're fighting over some dumb stuff, and it's like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, what is so big that you're willing to be angry at somebody over something so small, but in your head you cooked it up to be so big that you're willing to let it affect the relationship with your family, your own blood, your own DNA. It just makes no sense. Makes no sense.
That gave me goosebumps right there. Dan, really. Nothing more important than family. Take that out of today's episode. If you're quarreling or if you're having beef with family, settle it with good beef right here at Kinder's. That could be done. Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Pleasure.
Guys, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll be seeing you right here at Kinder's. Cheers.